Hey Airheads! Today's episode of Aficionados Internet Radio is brought to you by Audible.com. If you sign up today, you can get a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial if you go to audibletrial.com/aficionadoschris. With over 150,000 titles for your iPhone, Kindle, MP3 player, and my personal preference, the Android, you can choose from many titles out there. My personal recommendation would be Console Wars by Blake J. Harris, narrated by Fred Berman. Once again, if you want a free audiobook and a free 30-day trial at audible.com, go to audibletrial.com/aficionadoschris. The link will be in the description. Now, let's start the show.
Hey Airheads, Aficionados Chris here. You're listening to Aficionados Internet Radio. Aficionados Chris.
Hey everybody, Aficionados Chris here, and you're listening to another episode of Aficionados Internet Radio. It's been too long, I know, I apologize, but I think I've got a really spectacular and unique guest on the show. Long time ago, I interviewed Rosie Caddick, some of you might know as Caddick's sister. Lo and behold, much like a little gem I found upon looking through YouTube, I found this guy who we're going to be meeting with in a few seconds, whilst I was trying to promote my latest video, which was the Tintin Games review, by going on to Reddit. And as anyone can tell you, Reddit, there's a Reddit for everything. I had found a Reddit for game reviewers, so I thought this would be a great place to post my video. Upon that, on the front page was a review for a video game I had nostalgia for, Misadventures, Ed Netty's tie-in video game. Watched it, the entire thing, all 17 or 18 minutes of it, thought this guy was the funniest thing I'd seen in a while. And I think that's saying a lot considering some of the people I'm subscribed to. He is known as Jradgex. He is a hilarious video game reviewer that you should all check out because, quite frankly, he's low in subscribers, and I think it's insulting considering the content he produces, which I think is very high quality. So I'm going to stop blowing smoke up his ass. Here he is, Jradgex. How are you doing?
Yeah, do you want to just like fucking go out now? That was beautiful.
And well, you know, you'll hear it during your funeral. That is my planned obituary for you.
As they're lowering my like lifeless body that was no doubt like killed by just 1,000 gunshots, I'm going to be lowered down and just your voice is going to play.
In a very baritone, just, yeah, he was a reviewer.
He was great once.
Although I thought Cat Icarus was better. No, hey, you know, we got you here, and like I've been saying here is that you are a video game reviewer who I think is, because there's, let's face it, in the YouTube community with any sort of critiquing of any form, be it video games, movies, cartoons, or what have you, it's a very big community. There's a lot of people out there. There's some that I only have just discovered, some that I know many have never discovered, some who only have just started, some who are trying to struggle. So I think it's really great what I like to do with this show when I find someone who I think is, lack of a better term, very underappreciated. I like to sort of, you know, not to basically brag, but to say I want to give them a chance to sort of promote themselves on another channel, because I think that's a good way to keep this kind of content community growing, because I love watching people like you so much that I really hate to see people kind of just go unnoticed.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely. The thing is, with this kind of group, the people that do these game reviews and stuff, there's 1,000 of them and like a bazillion of them that do either, like, we'll do game reviews or we'll do Let's Plays or we'll do anything that's like connected to video games, because it's technically right now it's what's popular. And so I think in a lot of ways it's a popular thing, so a lot of people like jump on the bandwagon. But that doesn't mean that like people aren't like good at it or like want to do it like a lot.
Well, of course not. Like everyone has like I don't know how many times I've found someone and there's always that one comment, it's like, oh, you're ripping off insert popular critic here. Like I still get those. I was talking with Kid Icarus about this, and like a lot of people that I know who make video game reviews, everybody in the world who makes like game reviews nowadays and tries to go for that like sharp, like aggressive kind of style of humor will always be called a JonTron clown. Yeah. Well, especially if everyone uses, it's where I get annoyed by that, especially when people say, oh, you're using like visuals and pointing finger clip arts. Like, JonTron doesn't have the patent on that. It's that's public domain. Like, you know, that like that one finger he uses.
I used to think that was a Monty Python finger.
That's what I thought. Like,
yeah,
it had that same clip art look to it like a Python thing, and it's just, according to my research, it's just this clip art that's a vectored version of a sign. I think it's a bar in London or something. But like,
it looks very London-y, yeah.
It did, and like he's popularized it, but I always say he doesn't have a patent on it. If people if you just Google finger pointing in Google Images, you're gonna find that among other things. Like, I think because that so many people don't want to become like, I mean, we all love JonTron, I would like to think, but nobody ever wants that depressing sort of comment like, oh, you're just a ripoff. It's like, well, no, I'm inspired by him. It's just, what else am I supposed to use? There isn't that many options out there just because I use the same image he does, or I edit in the same style.
It's funny, and like, not to be self-centered here, but like in my case, it gets a little bit like more difficult to hide that because I don't even want to do it. But when I first started getting a little bit more popular was when I started doing the game reviews, and the first one I did was Rayman 2. And if you want to talk about JonTron ripoffs, I started out the fucking video like in a black button-up shirt. I had like a green hat, and I jumped in and did like all the shit with like the finger pointing and the like using shaky text and shit. And I'll admit, I only started doing that because JonTron kind of like brought that out of me. But I do want to like preface that with saying like a lot of people, I don't think it's entirely bad when a person, it's bad to like have no style of your own, but I think it's good to like get your style by sort of following other people. Because before I even had subscribers at all, I was like ripping off Nostalgia Critic, and I was like trying to do like, oh, you're the Nostalgia Critic, be all like super observant and, for lack of a better word, kind of touchy about things. And like, yeah, that's funny, but it didn't work for me. And I never seemed to like have fun with my reviews or get anywhere at all until I started taking notes from JonTron and Peanut Butter Gamer. So I think there's like still some value in like watching other people, monkey see, monkey do, and like learning from it. Because like the videos that I make today were all based on me like learning from other YouTubers who learned from other people too.
Well, like
it's that classic nothing's original type deal.
Exactly. Well, because inspiration comes from so many things, and
exactly, yeah.
Like, I mean, I get comments today. Even like the weirdest thing is that I have this one main inspiration that I have yet to actually be compared to, in quotations. You're a ripoff of, because I get comments like, "Oh, your style's very Doug Walker." It's like, that's not my intention, but thank you. But like, because my biggest inspiration is Spoonie. Spoonie's the reason I even like. He was the main drive that made me go. To give a little backstory to some of my listeners, is that the first ever epiphany I had about doing what I do right now was the Wing Commander review that Spoonie did many, many years ago for the movie. And as soon as I saw that, I was already like an avid viewer of his, but there's something that just clicked with me going, I want to do what he's doing. I really like he's making me laugh. He's really informative. He's very entertaining. I want to do what he's doing. And much like, because what I've always admired about Spoonie is that he doesn't keep himself just to one form of media. Like, Doug doesn't really do game reviews. I think he's done like a couple as like bonuses, and Linkara sticks to comics.
He did like that one like a bazillion years ago when it was like, haha, I'm being the angry video game nerd and he's being me. And
the joke role reversal thing they did. But then I remember he did a Blues Brothers SNES review. I think it was like a DVD exclusive or something. But like he's done a game review here and there. But like he sticks mostly to TV and movies, and Linkara sticks mostly to comics. He's on occasion done a game review, but Spoonie, he just reviews whatever the hell he thinks would make a good video. What it be, a video game, a movie, a board game, just whatever he thinks. You know what? I can make a good video out of this. And what I've also loved is that, kind of like with you, for example, is that you don't strictly review bad games, and that's what I've really appreciated about a lot of, like, Cat Icarus is the same, is that they don't have to be bad games to make good, entertaining videos. And I feel like too many have done, like, stuck solely to the bad quality of whatever, simply because they think it's true to an extent, that it's better for comedy, I suppose.
I think, like, in a very blunt way, I almost like really hate angry reviews now because back then I grew up with nothing but Channel Awesome, and so I watched like the Spoonie stuff and love that shit to bits. But it's been like so long now that when I look at a game and I start getting like mad at it, I just feel sort of like it puts a bad taste in my mouth. So I think I review like games that are good because I just have more fun playing them. Like, I also did a Spyro review. I don't know if you checked that one out.
That one's actually, right now, my favorite.
Oh, thank you, young man. But,
well, what I loved about it was, there's so many crossovers out there, and it was what me and a couple friends, when I was basically, again, exposing them to your content, I said, what I love about this video is this is quite possibly the most unique and original idea for a crossover I've ever seen. Is for people who don't understand the context of the review, it's a crossover with Cat Icarus, but Cat Icarus is not actually there. He's a talking picture in a frame, and he doesn't even technically talk. It's just a picture, but you hear his voice come out of it. It's hilarious, and that's what I loved about it. Going, so many people would like write something around it. Like there's always those. I think, like you mentioned with Channel Awesome, they do a lot of those hotel channel crossover things.
Yes,
which are very common.
I loved Phalus's running joke of like, "Cinema Snob, what are you doing here?" Because that's what it like is. You're just doing a review, and then a dude shows up, and you have to pretend like, "I didn't know you were coming." Like,
well, it works with his. Phalus is another one I'm really a big fan of, simply because.
Oh, Phalus is fantastic. I love him.
He's got such a great dry wit. I don't know how he does it. I'm trying to get him on the podcast as well, because that guy has such a great talent for dry humor.
He's such a sweetie pie too. I like he's such a little gorgeous man.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly see that like there's some Phalus in you, at least with a lot of your delivery. Not as exaggerated, obviously, but like it's there.
He's so good at like pretending to just not care, or maybe he really just doesn't care, and that's just so he's not even an actor. It's just all real live action.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, like I love his, because I've been binge watching a lot of the stuff I've been missing of him, and like I've really been digging his bootleg zones videos. And those are because I've always had this fascination with bootleg toys or games, and I love seeing someone just. Like, he's like the perfect fit for it, to just pick out all these little things, like, you know, obviously made in China, you know, the way he does that shit. It's great.
That is the voice that he does.
He's got that weird, it's so hilarious. He's just got that perfect, dry, elongated speech to him.
He did like these, I remembered all the Pulse videos he did. I loved every introduction of just like, oh, now it's Fatal Pulse. I would always say that to my brother all the time, like, hey, do you want to go look up a movie? What movie? It's Pulse. It's like it hurts you to say it.
Exactly. I don't know. Like, he mostly reviews, if it's not a horror movie, it's usually like this dollar bootleg. Like, he's perfect with the bootleg stuff, like those knockoff Disney movies. He like usually made in Canada, which I guess is bad for him, considering it's
his homeland.
Yeah, it's like it'd be like a Chinese man reviewing Chinese knockoffs. Like, I'm so ashamed.
That's only after he's seen that, you know, the rest of the world makes fantastic work. He comes back home and he's just like, God, we suck.
We don't have original ideas. We just take them and repackage them, literally.
We ship it into our horrifying, scary Chinese factories.
Made by little Chinese children.
Oh.
We're getting dark. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the Bummer Cast.
Welcome to the Aficionados.
Actually, at this moment, while we're talking about bummer stuff, I am actually drawing a sad skull face.
I should bring that up, because that's another unique thing about your channel, is that you're also, I'd say, to a degree, an accomplished artist animator. Because you actually, another thing that's unique is that when people do the same kind of editing style that people like you or JonTron or PBT or whatever, just that, we'll just go with cliche, editing style of comedy reviews, at least for YouTubers, is you actually draw up a lot of your own visuals to put in there.
Yeah, there's sort of a half origin to that, which is it could easily just be broken down to I just wanted to draw this, but at first
I've got the equipment, I've got the talent. Why the hell not? I want to make sure it's royalty free.
Yeah, well, actually, that is sort of half of it. But it was mostly like one half of it was like I want a specific face, but there's nothing online that has it, so why don't I just draw it? But also, it's because I would watch more people make videos. And I would used to do the thing where I'd like take a picture of like a guy doing some weird pose with like the stock thing on his chest because you get it from Google and you kind of have like it's a JPEG with like the big swirly thing in it. And I used to do that until I saw a bunch of other people do it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, now it looks really kind of cheap. So I was thinking, can I like
argue like that's part of the joke is how like they literally ripped it off the internet.
Yeah, what the thing was, I kind of wanted to disassociate myself from. This sounds like really mean, but like I kind of want to disassociate myself from not from like people like Peanut Butter Gamer, but those that kind of don't really make videos very well and do the same thing. So, anyways, I
without naming names.
No, I'm definitely not because I don't want to be that mean. But I just kind of wanted to make it a little bit different because a lot of people did it. So I got not a Cintiq, Jesus. I got a tablet a while ago because I got an animator friend, and he was talking to me all about drawing online, and he told me all these things. So I just bought a tablet, and for my top something snow levels, I just thought, why don't I just draw a little cartoon guy going like, hey, 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 for a joke that I did. And then it just escalated from there. I started drawing this and started drawing that. I opened a DeviantArt, and now I am pursuing a degree in design and hope to become an animator in the future.
Well, I guess there'll be a day where Jradgex will not be making videos anymore.
Actually, I wonder if I should even say this on the show. I have a plan for Jradgex, which is very... I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea, and that's why I'm doing it like years in the future. But basically, like, hey, this is actually a podcast exclusive, but I want Jradgex to eventually evolve into something that I wanted to evolve into, like, when I first started the channel. Mm-hmm. But before I do any of that, I want at least, like, 2 years of just making funny videos. Because I don't want to, like, I want an audience, and I don't want to, like, bog people down with, like, a whole bunch of, like, whoa, shit, what's all this, like, new shit that's happening? You know, I want people to like get comfortable with the channel before I do something a little bit different.
Yeah, basically ease them into it. You build it up, like, I think Egoraptor said that, his exact words, I think it was like at some kind of panel, is that once you have at least 100,000 subscribers, you could do whatever the hell you want.
That was, pretty much. That was actually something that kind of got to me when I started to sort of realize I could maybe make a life off of this. Too soon to say, but it was when I finally got my first check because I'm signed up with Screenwave now, and it was roughly around like $20. And I was looking at that just going like, that's not big money. That's not even enough to afford like a small apartment, but it's money. Yeah. And it's mine now, and I don't got to give any of it back to anybody.
Tax free.
So, yeah, it felt like so real. And then it's weird. One of the... I also have a Patreon. Hey guys, donate to my Patreon. But
we'll put a link in the description for you.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't even being serious, but thank you.
Right below your channel, because we'd at least want them to see why they should even tip you $1.
Give me money. I am a stranger right now. But there was a moment where I suddenly realized Patreon was even worth pursuing because I got $30 from my Patreon. And with that money, I bought Ed, Edd and Eddy The Misadventures and then did a review of it.
Which I must bring up because it's coming up in a conversation. Like, what I said earlier when I say, you know, I had to watch that video because, like, oh, I played that game. I've never seen a review for it. At least in the YouTube space of game reviews, I've never seen, like, a good review. It's usually, like, some fat kid talking to a headset microphone like, this is the game. It's just like a clip art. You know?
He has like a small little lamp going like, hey guys, welcome to my video.
Shot like a fucking Lego webcam. Lego webcam 144p. Horrible stuff. But like,
what the fuck?
Because then I clicked on it and it's like, holy shit, this guy's funny. And I gotta watch the rest of this. And I did, and it reminded me. It's like, oh, I'll explain when I say what I mean when I say it's like, oh, I remember fucking hating this game, not because it was a bad game, because well, it's really not. It's actually a pretty good tie-in game, but it's because
it's a lot more solid than a lot of other.
You were fortunate enough because I had the PC version, which I will say is borderline unplayable.
Oh, goody!
It's one of those. It's not meant to be played on a computer. It is a console game that it cannot be like. It was because I was like a kid when that came out. I think it was like 12 or 13 when that came out, and I got it for I think a birthday present. And I was so infuriated with the game because it was so hard just to move forward on the computer, because I think this was still using arrow keys, before WASD.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it was infuriating to play this game. So my parents had to buy me a USB controller just so I could play it. It was like this shitty knockoff, like not quite PlayStation, but we can't legally say it's supposed to be. And it was the only way I could play the game. And it's like, I like the game, but I wish I had it on a console, because I had a GameCube, and that's what I would have preferred. But I got stuck with the PC version. So it was good to see someone basically say, no, it's a pretty good game. And it was exactly how I remembered it, a fun tie-in game, just with an inferior PC version.
I didn't even know the PC. Like, I was looking up, I often look up information of the games beforehand.
Well,
and apparently,
logically, most people should.
Well, yeah. Apparently also look up Jewish folk songs, but I looked up. I also had a joke. But one thing I looked up was like all the different versions, and for some reason I didn't bump into the PC version. I only bumped into like the Game Boy Advanced version,
which I will say is probably better, because at least you can control it. I mean,
it looks good. I guess
it's downgraded, obviously, but at least you can put it in your hand and play it.
I do kind of like the music, even if it is a little like jambled. There was one song in it that because I had to download the whole soundtrack for like background music. It had one song though I genuinely liked, was all like banana.
Well, that's what was great about the game, was the fact that they got the actual Ed, Ed Eddy music composer to do all the music for the game.
Yeah, well, it wasn't too hard for him, because a lot of it was like
it's the same stuff, like the same very soft jazzy, like that's what always I loved about that show. It's a fucking great show.
It was fantastic.
Well, I mean, we could spend like an hour just gushing about Ed, and Eddy, but it had such a great musical score, because I've always had like this soft spot for jazz music, because one of my favorite shows of all time utilized jazz entirely, and that was Cowboy Bebop. So I've always had this huge appreciation for that sound. It might also be because my favorite genre of music is ska music, and that's like an exaggerated rocker, punky version of jazz.
Wait, what's it called again?
Ska music, like Real Big Fish, and basically it was big in the like. I was a half '90s kid, born in '91, and I always say to people, like, you know what, '90s were not that great. The cartoons were good, the music was terrible, but the only thing that I thought was good to come out of it was the ska movement that happened in, I want to say, like the mid '90s, so around that time. It was something about Orange County. Everybody from Orange County came out as a ska band. It was.
I never even heard that, like, the term. What is it? Ska?
Yeah, it's well, nowadays the only reason people know the word is because of the YouTuber Tomska.
Oh yes,
that's where his namesake comes from. Is because he like myself is a fan of the genre, so he put that as his username.
Huh. I never even knew that. That actually blows my mind.
Well, holy shit, blew your mind. There we go. I just realized, like, this is 23 minutes in. We haven't even gotten to a single question.
Welcome to Waste Your Life Cast.
or useless information from two dorks. Whatever you want to call it. Shoot the shit cast. But
sponsored by Tomska. Check out
go to Tomska's 2 million subscribed channel. See him in Pixels in theaters this summer.
He needs money, I swear.
But we'll bring this up because, like, you were talking about, we were talking about the Misadventures review, the review that got me to find your channel, which then made me, as they should, check out your other videos. I asked this with anyone. I asked with the Professor Juice, who I had 2 episodes ago. I think a lot of people want to know, because it's always different from whatever person. what makes you go about deciding what game would make a good video review?
Ooh, it goes in two ways. One, I'll get a message somewhere for someone saying like, "Hey, excuse me, sir, could you go review this game?" And then I have a notepad that I write down the game. And if there's ever a point where I'm finally like, okay, I got done with that, time to start the planning process for the next one, or I'm in the middle of another review and I'm like, I just want to start the planning process, I'll look at the checklist and like look through them and see which one like sounds like a funny idea, or if I'm looking at it, I immediately like get an idea of how I would do the opening. Because for some reason, I always like look at a review and go, what kind of opening could I make from this? Like Spyro was requested. And as I was looking at it, I was imagining like this opening where I start talking about like, Spyro was such a great game. It was so amazing. And like, everybody loves it, except for Kid Icarus, because he doesn't fucking play it. And then I like, the original idea was I was going to like break a frame of Caddy. And then like that, and that was it. And then it like evolved into this thing where Caddy became a picture frame. And that's just kind of the creative process, I guess, is you just sort of like imagine these ideas and one idea blooms into another. But the second thing is I'll just be fucking around in my house and or I'll be talking to a friend and they'll mention a game, or I'll find a game on my shelf and be like, wow, that'd be actually really funny. That was how I figured out Ed, Edd n Eddy, The Misadventures, was because I did order it with the assumption I was going to review it someday, but I took a while to finally like actually play it. So I had it on my shelf and I almost forgot I ordered it for the review. And I was flipping through some old games for, I don't even remember why. And I found 3 games: Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, Ed, Edd n Eddy, and Tack and the Power of Juju. And I thought like, I'd love to play all 3 of these games. But I decided to like do this poll, which is like the first time I ever did a poll. I took a picture of them and I just said like, which one do you guys want to review? They all said Ed, Edd n Eddy. Some said like Tack. Like nobody said Ty. And which is a shame. Everybody hates Australia racism. But yeah, that's how I did the Ed, Edd n Eddy review. So it's either people request it and I have my big long list, or it just comes to mind. Like my next review is going to be Hatoful Boyfriend. Because
yeah, I know that one.
It's so. I played an hour of it today.
Never heard of Hatoful Boyfriend or have never watched a PBG video. It's a dating sim with pigeons.
It's great.
It's Bert from Sesame Street would love that game.
And there's a character in it who every pigeon has a human version of themselves, except for one pigeon who is just still a pigeon, and he talks to you by cooing. So it makes me wonder, what the fuck is the point?
It's an allegory. It's the visions of a mentally unstable female.
We're all animals. But basically I just got the idea to do the Hatoful Boyfriend thing because a friend of mine sent that game to me over Steam, and I thought I could think of a really funny opening for this, which I won't disclose here. But yeah, that's the idea. Basically, just comes from
to watch the video after once you've uploaded it, of course.
It's a great game, and I'm sure it will be an even greater review. God, it's so bad.
Well, I know about as much because of Peanut Butter Gamer's review, but I had known about it because a friend of mine who I've collaborated with in a couple videos, Pixie Blossom, plug again, because she was the one that just brought it up to me, saying, have you ever heard of Hatoful Boyfriend? The hell is that? It's a dating sim with pigeons. I want you to do a video on it. I was like, okay, that's interesting, and I looked into it. It's like, wow, this really is interesting. And then I found the PBG video. It's like, damn it, now I can't do it because he already did one.
That is actually something that's happening right now as I'm writing down notes. Is I'll get to some section in the game where I'm like, oh, that's really funny if I did that. Peanut Butter Gamer did that. Fuck that joke.
That is always the hardest thing. Like the one I did recently, because for the record, I'm not even aware of what videos of mine you've actually seen. But for the one I did recently, the Tintin games, and to disclose this for a lot of people who watch my channel, they notice I don't do a lot of the scripted reviews, but I have such an admiration for the people that do, because to me it's like, I don't have a problem with it, but I feel like I can never quite make the same kind of level of, almost 20 minutes of entertainment, because like the longest video I've ever made is like 17, and that's not even scripted. But with Tintin games, it was an idea I had because I was a big fan of the franchise, and I thought, I always want, like, when I was a kid, I loved the Super Nintendo. What if there were some games and I found out through a fluke, oh, there were, just not in America. And I don't know if you know him, but there's this guy on YouTube called Guru Larry, who does a series called Games That Yanks Can't Wank, which is where he
Oh yes, that guy.
You know that guy? Yeah, he's great. He's got one of the best speaking voices of any reviewer out there. So I thought to myself, I was like, oh, it's kind of like if I were to do this, it's like a Games Yanks Can't Wank, but without him. And then it hit me. It's like, maybe I could just like have him do a cameo and make fun of the fact that it's kind of ripping off his show. And he did, and we did the whole thing. But upon writing the review and playing the games through an emulator for obvious reasons, I had found out there's this guy whose actual name escapes me, but there's like this French version of the Angry Video Game Nerd. And when I say French version, I mean not translated, not dubbed. There's a literal guy who does the AVGN, but in French. And
wait, he does every episode.
Well, I mean, like he does his own videos, but it's basically like a French, like it's weird because if you were to find this guy, which you can, he's on YouTube. Basically just look up the Tintin games. He did a review of them. Watching, I was like, this is kind of frightening because it's like it's as if he shoots when James isn't in the room. Because everything about it is so similar, it's kind of frightening. And I was sort of just enthralled. I was like, I guess I should be annoyed that there's someone else who's reviewed this game. And not to sound racist, but he's French. Not a lot of people have probably heard of him and can't really watch him because he speaks French, and you'd have to watch it with English subtitles. So I guess I'll make the American equivalent to this review. Because I make similar points that he did, which was all unintentional, but I felt less like I was ripping him off because it was like, oh, this is an accidental find. Kind of cool to see a literal French AVGN reviewing the same game that I'm reviewing.
It's funny, when you said, like, original, like, AVGN Frenchman, I just kept thinking, like, he does every single AVGN video ever. Like, and I mean the board games, the vlogs, every video he's ever created, but just in French. That would be legitimately
impressive if he went through every, like, he's done over 100. If he just did every AVGN episode complete, like, shot for shot, just in French, that would be astonishing. But no, the guy, he's just basically the French AVGN. He reviews French games. I mean, I can certainly say I haven't watched enough of him to know if he's done verbatim shot-for-shot remakes. Maybe that's how he started. I don't know. I only saw 2 videos of his because I was just really taken back by this whole, I'm watching a French James Rolfe. This is scary. He's got the glasses. He's got the back. It's weird. The only thing he's not wearing is the nerd shirt. He's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Yeah, Hawaiian shirt. I'll link him in the description of this video for people who are just like, what? Because trust me, I was the same. Check him out. It's an interesting thing to witness. I can't even say he's bad at all. Like, he's genuinely, I'd say he's entertaining, but I'm not French, so I don't know if he's technically funny or not.
I actually have a friend who speaks French, and she, like, looks up videos on YouTube that are just in French. So when we hang out, it's pretty bad, but I should actually show that to her. I need the link to that.
Yeah, I'll drop that in there. But like you know, it is a common occurrence because I think, like we were discussing earlier, it's lack of a less offensive term, whether it be video game reviews, movie reviews in general. It's kind of an oversaturated environment. There are so many people out there, many struggling, many just starting out. Like, to plug a lesser channel that has kind of just started out, someone you've actually plugged in a video, Super Gamer Eskimo, I believe is his name.
Yes.
Like, you know, I've been watching him. I like his stuff, but there's that part. Like, his stuff is really well made, but he's only got just slightly above 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, he's less than me. That's fucking bullshit, man.
Well, exactly. Well, I mean, the same was what I thought you was like. Oh, this guy's great. What's he got? Like 100,000. 2,000? He has 3,000 less than me? That doesn't say right. Like, that's what I kept saying to everyone. Like, my friend Sean, who's helped me out on a lot of things when I was showing him the misadventures, which, of course, he was friggin' laughing. And I go, isn't this guy great? He goes, yeah, I'm just really confused as to why he's got such a low sub count. He seems like he should be, like, part of Hidden Block. And it's like, well, he comes off that way, especially with because then we watched the Spyro video. It's like, oh, Cat Icarus, we got to see that.
Yeah. That was actually kind of a big boom when it happened. No shock.
Well, yeah,
but,
of course.
Yeah, I really did appreciate that from Caddy because like the whole setup to that was kind of a jumbled mess. I started out just with the idea of smashing a photo of Caddy in like that kind of like I just broke up with you sort of way.
Kind of like that PBG smashing the Regis Philbin picture.
Yes, I actually love that joke. PBG sometimes lately he's been kind of back and forth for me, but that was a great joke he did. I love that so much. But yeah, for Caddy, I really do got to commend him because I went back and forth with him all the time. Like, okay, I want you to just say one line. He's like, okay, whatever. And I come back like, okay, one more line. He's like, okay. And then I come back like, okay, here's a big script and you're like a full-time character. What do you think? And he was like, oh, do I got to do any filming? I'm like, no video stuff. And he's like, yeah, okay, cool.
That's what I thought was unique about it, is that so many people would probably have, especially when they have such a busy schedule like Caddy probably has, that they wouldn't always have time to pull out their equipment to shoot a quick collab or cameo.
Oh my god, like Caddy's like always fucking busy. Like, have you ever talked to him or?
I've never gotten to talk to Caddy himself. I've only ever spoken to his sister. There is, I can't disclose it here, but there is a thing I actually helped out Cat Icarus for a video or whatever. I'll put it this way: if you see something unique in a video of his later on the month, you're welcome. And I know I'm being vague. But for people that watch me and will also watch Cat Icarus, you'll know what it is when you see it.
Just gonna be watching all those videos with a microscope, just like, what is it?
Oh, they'll know when they see it. But I mean, I'm very friendly with the Rosie Caddick, his sister, in case people haven't picked up on that by now. But I know I've never gotten the chance to actually just talk to him. I think I emailed him once long ago, very similar to you, just, hey, I'd like to have you on the podcast. But I mean, he's busy, so I don't expect much. The last guy I had heard from in the Hidden Block thing was Space Hamster. Who couldn't do it, but what I was very appreciative of his email to gloat about Space Hamster, because I love him. I think he's really
I actually bumped into him in, and I mean, like, literally, he used to work at a video store, Fry's.
That makes sense.
In my area, yeah. And I was walking around just kind of going like, this and that. My dad was like buying something. And like Space Hamster literally like slammed into my shoulder because he had to go help out a lady. And I was just like, ow, fucking, is that Space Hamster? And I just watched him from like far away, like, yeah, that's Space Hamster.
Well,
okay.
Aren't you, so you're in Seattle, I'm assuming, yes?
I am, yes.
So you're actually in the whole, like, Brutal Moose and PBG are there as well.
Yeah. My brother has seen PBG somewhere like in a, this is so fucking weird to like say this, my PBG sighting. But my bro did also like see him in the mall somewhere. And then he came back home, and we both have this reaction when we see like people that are, on the internet and famous. We never go like, holy Jesus, I saw this guy. We just kind of come back like, I think I just saw PBG, but like maybe not.
Like a part of a sort of denial stage, I guess. Well, I think,
it's that assumption of like, we probably didn't.
Well, it's the same as like when I have voice actors or have worked with voice actors, or in this case, interview people of a higher caliber, I'd say. I've never gotten starstruck, really. Like, I've met and worked with so many people in a higher field than me, but I never really go like, oh my god. It's just, maybe I'm just really good at being professional. Like, I once had a phone call from Tommy Wiseau. If people,
wow.
I've told that story multiple times, but like I've always said, if I can not laugh during a call with Tommy Wiseau, I think I'm the most professional person on the planet.
Welcome to Gloatcast, where we're all fucking awesome.
Yeah. You all wish you could be me, right?
We're all talking to Tommy Wiseau and shit.
I always say that as a joke, as I say, I've worked with the voice of Toonami. I have met many people. Nothing tops the call with Tommy Wiseau as the greatest thing to happen to my career. But I think being on the internet, like we have, people get why that is sort of a badge of honor.
It's actually mighty impressive. I actually hope one day to bump into him, take a smell of his hair, and then get arrested.
Or at least have him say, "Oh, hi, Hayden."
I'd love if like this call you had with him was like,
he did actually say, "Oh, hi, Chris," when he answered the phone. Like, that's where I was like, this guy, I always thought this was all a shtick, but no, this guy generally is this fucked up.
I would have liked to imagine it's like you call him and you're like, "Hello, Tommy Wiseau. Yeah, I think you're a very cool guy. You're very interesting. I just want to talk to you." And he's like, "Oh, wrong number." And then just hangs up the phone.
I think I do still have the number he called it on. So if
for everyone to call
if I was a 4chan prick, yes, absolutely, I'd probably just put that number, just release it to the world.
Have you actually heard of a new 4chan phenomenon called swatting?
No, because I have better things to do than read 4chan.
Do you know what? So you don't know swatting at all?
I'll put it this way: I just learned this year what the term spaghetti meant. So no, I don't know what swatting the context.
I don't know what spaghetti means. So
oh, wow, really? Holy, well, yeah, hey, I didn't either. So internet things, I'm always out of the loop.
Well, do you mind if I just explain what swatting is?
Please. I think everyone else wants to know too.
Okay, swatting is this horrible thing that nobody should ever do because it's a horrible dick move. But basically, it's a person is doing a live stream of something or just something where they're obviously live right now. And there's a person who hacks their account, like PlayStation account or computer, and finds out their real life address, calls the SWAT team, and they go to your house during a live stream and they arrest you.
Oh, that is fucked up beyond belief.
That is so messed up. My friend sent me a video of like, look at this. This guy got swatted. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then I just watched this like very gritty film of like a bunch of cameramen, a bunch of like SWAT just came in and arrested this poor man. I'm like, oh my God, that's horrible. Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal on many, many levels.
Mm-hmm. The scariest part about it, though, and I don't know if people want to take this as like a commentary for police officers or whatever, Ferguson, but the scariest part about that video was at like the end of the video, the guy is no longer handcuffed. He explained his situation. The SWAT started to understand. He was sitting down in a chair just saying like this and that and blah, blah, blah. And the cops were like, okay, nodding. And they were from a distance. We were looking through a webcam, and all of a sudden you just see a cop look over at the webcam. He didn't even blink. He quickly walked over and just pushed the webcam aside so they couldn't see him. I'm like, okay. What do you want to not show? And then the video ends, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so scary. Ugh.
Welcome back to Bummercast. We took a short break. It was very happy for a while, but now we know what swatting is. Protect your children. Oh dear.
Is spaghetti just that bad, or
no? Spaghetti's nothing compared to that. Holy shit! no, spaghetti's just a term for a really, really severely autistic person. That's fucking nothing compared to the swatting thing. There's no real repercussions for that.
Oh yes. I think
you win. I think
did
you won the dick measuring contest there.
I think I've won this podcast now.
Well, it's certainly not the dirtiest I've done, but it's getting up there. Oh Jesus. We'll try to backtrack because you do game reviews. Last I remembered.
Yes.
We'll go way back to the previous point. Is like I've been, you do game reviews. We've discussed how you go about choosing a game to review. At least with the Misadventures, it was a poll, or you talk to a friend and it kind of inspires. I think one thing a lot of people would want to know, because I've asked this with very similar people, what were some of your favorite games while you were growing up? Basically, any kind of nostalgic memory of a game you loved may just stick to the gaming community, basically.
I think, well, there's a few, if you don't mind me naming a few.
No, we got plenty of time here. We spend most of the time talking about swatting.
Oh,
please,
yes.
fill it in.
I want someone to make an animation of that.
Oh, please.
But no, games growing up, well, this will probably make all my fans that loved my Rayman 2 review really happy. I always loved the Rayman series. It's great. I grew up. It's funny. The first Rayman game I played was like a free-to-play. You play it on a website that was no doubt giving me viruses, and it let me play the first level of Rayman 1. And that was, I like thought it was amazing playing through it. It was like plums with eyeballs. I'm like, this is so fucking like kooky. It's nice. And so I just got like really pushed into that and thought it was just so like fascinating. And then maybe a few years later, my family used to rent games. We wouldn't buy. We weren't really that well off at the time. And I rented Rayman 2. I only recognized it because I remembered the name, and I played through it. And just like anybody that grew up with Rayman 2, it was this weird, like, mystical game. It was like Rayman 1, but, like, turned up to 11, you know? It felt so, like, very different. It wasn't like Super Mario 64, which was very, you know, oh, you got to collect a star, and you got 6 stars, and you got to do this, and then you beat the dragon, win the game. Rayman was so different. He looks like a dog. He has no limbs for no reason. You're fighting, like, robot
probably
pirates.
Easier to animate.
Oh my goodness, yes. It's super. I love the way Caddy put it. He said it with such hatred too. He's like, Rayman is just this thing that like exists. He's like not a human, not like a dog. He's just like a thing. He has no limbs. He's made them by the French. and he was like so fascinating to me as a kid. And Rayman 3 came out, and that felt more like grounded. That felt a lot more like Rayman was going on some like epic adventure, which was still fun though. It was only after like Raven Rabbids things got a little weird, and then they made Origins Legends, and that was really great. And everybody hates my Origins review because I did a bad job. But it seems like the Rayman games always like stuck with me because they always seem to have that consistent like creativity blooming in them, and I really like that. But besides that, I guess, you know, there's always the generic things like, you know, I love the Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie series. And
I actually only just played Banjo-Kazooie for the first time this
month.
I was doing it for a live stream for a friend who was, she's a big Banjo-Kazooie fan, so I thought, well, I'll play the game for her live stream, and it was, because I always say this, is that I like to play video games, I'm just not terribly good at them. So, but I think that can be said for anybody's game, especially if it's a game you've never played in your life. You're gonna suck at it, and people are gonna watch going, why didn't you get the whatchamacallit? Like, the running gag in the stream was, I couldn't remember the name, and I can't remember right now, of those freaking colored things you're supposed to collect.
The notes?
No, not the notes, the
jiggies?
The Jinjos, I think, or something?
The Jinjos?
The Jinjos, yeah. See, the Jinjos! The running gag, and it wasn't intended to be a running gag, because I could never remember, so I kept calling them something else, like the Jujo or something. The Jin, what?
You gotta collect the Jews, right?
I'm surprised that I didn't go that far. Oh, I gotta collect the Jufro. No, the
Jufro.
The Jufros. They're all. I got the green Jufro. But that was the problem, is that I could never remember. I could remember Jiggy, I could remember Music Note, I couldn't remember the Jinjo.
It didn't take me too long to, well, okay, as a kid, I guess it did take me, I had time enough to learn it, but I like that the game at least sort of gave you a hand, because every time you collected a Jinjo, it would go like, oh, Jinjo! And I would go like, oh, okay, that's
what those things say?
Yeah, the same fucking Jinjo!
I can't really hear it over the so, and it's like, what the, I thought they were just, you know, considering most of the game was cool, I can't really distinguish that it's supposed to be actually saying something.
When I was little, I used to think that they were saying, like, kind of words.
Yeah.
Like, when they were, when Banjo would talk, I thought he was always saying, like, yup. Like, he'd go like, yup, 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 yup.
As a kid, I always thought it was the same guy who did Goofy's voice.
Oh God, it would be. Oh, actually, you know all about that new game that's coming out.
Well, that was actually what the stream was about. Was we were raising money for ukuleles. Like they had this stretch goal, I think you call it. I don't remember the whole details.
Yeah, stretch goal, pretty much.
The whole thing was that because she's an aspiring voice actress, and she had made a deal with a I think like a producer or someone who's like involved with Platonic games, that they would secure her a spot if she was able to raise the money needed to get that perk. Because apparently they had like some kind of perk that if you spent enough, you'd get a voice role. So that was the whole idea, is that she had already raised like 700 something. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do like a live stream for 7 hours and we're going to raise some more money. We raised about 840, I think, that day. Like, we raised up to 840 that day.
Oh, that's fucking fantastic, yo.
Yeah. It was great to do. She was very appreciative. She's for plugging her. It's a Fluttertree Muffin, also known as Emmy Jones. Her link will also be in the description. Check her out. She's wonderful. Yeah, that was my experience with Banjo-Kazooie. So because of that, I've never played Banjo-Tooie because I'm not even done with Banjo-Kazooie, and I've heard things about Nuts and Bolts.
The thing about Nuts and Bolts, I think, is, for one thing, I always have like this semi-deep-seated like regret in my life that I didn't make a fucking Nuts and Bolts video before JonTron stole it from me.
I think because with that one, now no one can ever make a Nuts and Bolts review.
Ugh, it's so annoying because growing up, when I was getting into like making reviews and stuff, I wanted so bad to be the Banjo-Kazooie guy because I loved the series. Now it's John's the Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, it's John's thing with the whole. I remember his avatar for a while was him mocked up to be wearing the banjo outfit.
I know, that's so weird.
It was his. It's still really. I mean, he's friends with Grant Kirkhope. He's basically the promoted fanboy, as they call it.
Yeah, there's no way anybody else can be the Banjo-Kazooie guy. He just is.
He just, when you do a Did You Know Gaming for that, you're kind of like, if I'm not mistaken, Caddy is somehow the Spyro guy, but he's never done a video on Spyro.
No. Actually, let me try and preface that. I believe he is the Metal Gear Solid guy, because all the time, the only thing we ever talk about... No, the only thing we ever talk about is like, oh yeah, man, like I'll come to him and be like, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to Ground Zero. And he's like, don't talk to me about Ground Zero. Everyone sends me shit about Ground Zero. Like, everyone always sends a Metal Gear Solid stuff. Like,
I feel
about it. Like,
well, I mean, I have that same thing as that. Like, it's like I did some Digimon DVD reviews long ago.
Oh, Digimon.
I ended it at the 3rd season, not because I don't like the other seasons. I've just never seen them. But the short end of that story was because the company who was making those DVDs changed their rules about screeners, and I was no longer on their list to receive copies. So the reviews have gone unfinished, and to this day, I still get people commenting and emailing me saying, when are you going to do the rest of the Digimon reviews? And I've made it like a running gag in some videos where someone will bring it up and I won't answer them. Like I did one where I reviewed the Black Dynamite cartoon, and it was a collab with a
oh my YouTuber. God, yeah, that.
It was a great cartoon. It was a collab with a YouTuber known as Black Critic Guy, and the whole thing ends with him going, because he's an anime reviewer. He says, when are you going to review the rest of those Digimon DVDs? And I just open my mouth and the video ends.
Oh, that's fair.
I like doing shit like that, just kind of annoying people, because I know they want it, but I can't afford the sets, especially since I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like those seasons.
Actually, on that note, I'm assuming you don't know about my Phoenix Wright joke, then,
I believe I do. I know I saw a Phoenix Wright video of yours. Forgive me because I haven't seen every video you've made, but
how fucking dare you?
No, I know, it's terrible. I should have watched them all before this interview.
Just like I probably should have watched anything from you before.
You, who am I?
You're what is that? Aficionado.
No, it's a friction.
Oh.
No, it's not.
Of course, with the missing T.
Of course.
But
with the extra F's that aren't there, which people will sometimes spell it with. Aficionados.
People don't even know how to spell my fucking name or even say my name.
Well, I think it's the D and G that throws people off.
Well, all right, I'll finish the first story, then I'll talk about my name, because I just like to talk about it a lot. The first story is that I have a Phoenix Wright review I made a long time ago, where basically I was like, why don't I review Phoenix Wright? And then I started like making up the script, and I'm like, you know what? This first case, I already wrote like a video's worth of notes. Why don't I just make a video and make every case a different part? That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I did that, and then I made the second case, and I fell into a wall. Basically, it was bad writing. I just kind of wrote myself in this scenario where I made a like 15-minute long video for half of a case. And I was part case 2. So far, I'm in a what is it, like a Half-Life situation where I can't make my third video.
You can't count to 3.
I can't, because although it's kind of funny, this is case 2 part 2, so I still haven't counted to 3 yet. But essentially, I took so long to make this Phoenix Wright case 2 part 2 that I get messages from people a lot, whether it be YouTube or DeviantArt or whatever, where people just ask like, "Hey man, when are you gonna finish that that Phoenix Wright series?" And I've just referenced that for years, but never decided to write a script. However, I will say in this podcast now, I am 80% done with the script, and when the script is complete and I don't want to make any more changes, I'm gonna have to get voice actors together because it's gonna actually be kind of bigger than the other ones.
Any voice actors in mind?
Ooh, any voice actors of yours?
Yes, I'll just call them up on my cell phone because I do that.
Oh, I thought your literal question was like any voice actors of mine, and I'm like,
no. Do you have like are there any in mind you want?
I can't really name any off the top. I don't know a lot of them. Any like voice actors? I do know a site called Behind the Voice Actor.
Oh yeah, great site.
Yeah, I love that site. I like go onto it all the time. I'm trying so hard to be a part of this one thing called Warriors of Valor. I signed up for like 6 people, and I'm just waiting. Like, come on, just tell me if I got a role. But yeah, I think I'll go there, or I'll just like go to friends who are able to voice act the roles. There are only a couple people. I need like someone for Maya Fey. I need someone for maybe not the Frenchman. I like doing the Frenchman voice.
Always give yourself the funnier roles.
Well, it's strange because I did the first video, and all the characters from my first case 2 part 1 already have my voice. Mm-hmm. So I'd find it weird if all of a sudden I just shifted and they have different voices.
Yeah. I
might want a new voice for Edgeworth though.
I'll just say, if you ever need a Gilbert Gottfried, I'm your man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Ooh, I just need that character to exist now.
Now he's gonna write one. There you go.
He's super forced.
Holy fuck, is this wrong? Which I remember because you used that in the Misadventures, and that just that was the breaking point. It's like, this guy's funny, because I was pissing myself laughing at that part.
Because I put that in because I couldn't fit in another joke. Basically, what was going to happen was like, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be so biased, you know? And then you cut to the 3D models, which look terrible. The original joke was I was supposed to like kind of like look at it and laugh and smile, and then like a bunch of blood just comes out of my mouth. And I'm just like, this is looking great. Be
like, oh, JonTron's Conquer video, you can't do that.
Oh, wait, no.
He has the patent on bloody mouths.
No, actually, I want to revise that. It wasn't blood. It was actually supposed to be puke. That just like very casually drips out of my mouth. Still, people would have made the same joke.
Oh, they would have inadvertently made the compare. Like, when I did a review for the Godzilla, the NES and the Super Nintendo game, it was part of this series I was doing called Godzilla Week, where leading up to the new movie that was coming out, I did a video, which I always say, it's not a common thing, because I don't wish upon anyone to do a video once a day for a whole week. It's not. No one should ever do that. But I tried it. It was stressful, but I did it. But like,
you did it?
I did. I did do it. I did an entire week. I was very proud of myself for a while, and I felt tired. But I did the review. It was at that time. It was one of the first scripted reviews and one of my first scripted game reviews ever. So I said to myself, I was like, I want to review these games, but I know I'm going to get the inevitable, the AVGN already reviewed these, yada, yada, yada. So we wrote that into the script where we had this obsessive cliche fanboy interrupt the video saying, you can't do that, you know, James Rolfe already did. It's like, all right, because he's the only one on the who has an opinion on these, is the only one who owns these, so yeah, I completely forgot. I shouldn't review these.
I love that voice, just you can't do that!
Well, everyone has their nerd voice. The problem is, like, when I do my nerd voice, it sometimes just becomes like a Gilbert Gottfried with a lisp.
I like it,
especially when it's yelling. Like, I did one in the Blu-ray review for the Godzilla film where I was making fun of everyone who complained about, basically nitpicked about the movie. Like, that movie sucks so bad. It's like, it just sounds, when I play, it's like, it just sounds like Gilbert Gottfried with a lisp. But you know what? Hey, it's something.
It's pretty Godfrey. There is do you know of a man named Rerez?
I know I've heard that name.
he's basically like the way I know him.
For the record, how many people are we gonna plug on this thing?
Fucking everybody,
yeah,
man.
everybody.
I'm gonna plug fucking Chase Face Show, Rebel Taxi. Actually, look up those two.
Well, Rebel Taxi's got plenty, but I'm gonna have. I
always worry about him because I worry he has an ego. It's gonna like get to him someday.
He never took me as an egomaniac.
I guess the only time I ever saw him as an ego, maybe I'm just reading too much into him joking. I don't know. I think I'm like the concerned mother of the game reviewer community. I always like look at people like PBG makes a video and I don't think it's funny, and I immediately I'm like, PBG, are you doing okay? Do you need a break?
Are you tired of those checks that you keep signing?
What has he made lately? I actually haven't watched PBG in a while.
Crap. I think the last it was a putt-putt. Another putt-putt review was the last one.
Oh yeah, that was a. I don't know. That seems like one of those
wrapping up a series kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah. I guess.
Well,
I loved all his other ones.
I think because like even he says like there really wasn't a whole lot. I think that's why he saved them for last, is because they were kind of the most lackluster.
Yeah,
that was the he did that whole this is what I looked like playing this one. It's like I mean I didn't laugh as hard as the other ones, but I was still entertained.
I like the thing about those kind of reviews where like for some reason you feel you have to like complete a series. By the end of it, I'm positive you won't have anything else to say because
especially
like
if the series is progressively dull and worse. It's like I'm gonna start repeating myself like, oh yeah, it's more of the same. Now to write that was something I really didn't like out of Phaelus. Like I said before, he's a gorgeous human being, but sometimes he would do that thing where he'd like go through a whole series and you'd just run out of things to say. So, like if that's a note I could give anybody as a person that does game reviews is like, don't like if you get into like a series and you start like making the same joke over and over again and you're just repeating yourself. It's okay to stop, because I think that might be more detrimental to you, unless like maybe it's something really important to you, in which case that's a different thing altogether. So would that essentially be your takeaway for people that want to get into what you and I guess to an extent I am doing?
Well,
don't have running gags, kids.
I'd like to offer a lot of advice to people because a lot of people make the same mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Well, please lay it down. Lay it down for everyone listening.
Well, like a lot of things that I think people, a lot of the mistakes people make is that they like assume if they'll review a game that's already been reviewed by somebody else, then all of a sudden that means like, oh, well, people are definitely going to watch it now. Like, I know a few people, I won't name names, but I know some people that did reviews that were already reviewed by like Peanut Butter Gamer and Jontron. And while they were doing the review, the only thing they had to say was the same thing said in the already pre-existing famous videos. So I think like when you want to like review a game, at least for me, what seemed to always work is like review a game that you want a video to exist for. Because like I kind of reviewed the Rayman 2 game, and that was the thing that got me like really big, and like people really big fucking what? That's what at least jump started.
Jump started the Jradgex review game train.
Yeah, and I only did that because I was actually literally looking around for like Rayman 2 stuff because I got into a Rayman 2 mood, and I was looking up reviews, and I'm like, God, all these reviews are really just kind of boring. It's just, once again, like you were saying earlier, it's just some kid with like a shitty light and a bad mic just holding the disc in like a desert, just like, here's the game, I don't care. I was like, why don't you just do a like good, classy, long review where you just talk about all your favorite things from this game that's important to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and also
with like, with some of the, like with the Godzilla thing where it's sometimes unavoidable that you are going to make certain points that are similar to another person's review. But
oh, sure.
Like I've always said to stress that even if that, I mean, I'm sure there's other Spyro reviews out there because it's Spyro. But it's because you had a different opinion on Spyro than most other people. And with the Godzilla one, I thought, to me, it's like, there were points that James didn't make that I thought were kind of worth noting. also just because of the fact that, much like James, I had nostalgia for them, and the whole point of the video was just to, for me personally, to replay those games and see how they hold up, and they don't. So that was like, it was more, I wouldn't call it therapeutic, but it was certainly like, I haven't played these games in many years. Wonder how they are. Oh wow, they kind of suck. Well, time to make a video on them.
Yeah, that is kind of what it feels like. You roll through some game and you're just like, oh, I wonder how I feel about the game. Oh, it's like that. Well, better talk about it now.
Better unleash my stress and anger because I can't afford a therapist.
I have I actually have an opinion on Silent Hill, which Silent Hill 2 specifically, which I sort of brought up in my Silent Hill 3 review. That I feel Silent Hill 2 often is like over-credited. Not to say that it's bad, because it's a great game. I love all the places that they went and the deep psychology they talked about, especially for its time. I do feel that people often give it all the credit and give none to the rest of them. But because of that, I have this thought of doing once again another one of those reviews like Spyro, where I just review Silent Hill 2 and talk mostly about the bad stuff. And I wanted to do that immediately after Silent Hill 2. And I was telling my brother about this, and I told him like this long shtick. I was saying like, yeah, and then I say this and this and that, and then I was like, what do you think? And then my brother just looked at me and he was like, well, you're going to be really popular after that. And I was like, fuck. Because I had almost nothing good to say.
Fucking mood killer.
Yeah. I keep
like, because I wouldn't say I had. Well, I guess to an extent I had nostalgia for Spyro, but I always favored the sequels over the I unlike Caddy, I did play them in order, but I always enjoyed the sequels. Like once I was done with Spyro 1, I never picked it up again. And so like, especially with your reviews, like, oh yeah, Moneybags doesn't show up in the first one, and it is kind of a very empty game.
Mm-hmm. Like, that was my big problem. Was everyone talked to me about like, oh yeah, Spyro the Dragon, so funny, Moneybags, he's like the best character. And I was playing through the game like, any second now, I'm gonna see Moneybags. And then like I beat the game, and I just sat there. Yeah, I actually sat there beating the game, like sitting at the title screen, going, where the fuck was Moneybags?
Well, I like that you point out the fact that when most people, when they say they love Spyro, they kind of mean it to a degree as a whole, not just the singular game. Which, I mean, I think anyone could agree the Legend series is not part of that, but...
was that, like, just really bad?
Oh, Caddy had the best... I know we keep bringing him up, but Caddy... It's how me and my friend Sean became big fans of him. He had the best analogy for the Legend series of Spyro was when he was talking about A Hero's Tale versus the other one, which was Enter the Dragonfly, I believe it was called. And I'm probably getting all the names confused, but the point is he brought up one of them. He said he may have sunk, but then he rose again, and then he brought out the Legend one, and then he got a little confused and whacked into a tree.
I remember
that was the best analogy I have ever heard for that particular. We'll just call it a reboot for convenience sake of that game series, and that's where it was like we both became fans of his stuff. And now your videos, for the record, for people, it's the closest thing you're gonna get to Caddy's review of Spyro until he hits 1 million.
I know. It's like, Jesus, talk about a fucking landmark. I don't know how long it'll be until he reaches 1 million.
He's like sitting comfortably at 300,000. It's like, Jesus, he's going to be like 30 by the time this happens. He's probably not even going to care anymore. I actually,
since we're just talking about Caddy and his great big game reviewing dick, I wanted to talk about mostly how I had like such a back and forth relationship with Caddy because I knew him sort of back when neither or one of us were popular, because back when he made only one video, and that was the Normal Boots audition tape where he just reviewed Rascal Racers. And I remembered I sent him a couple messages. I used to be more popular than him. I was not by much. I had 100. He had like 70. But I sent him a message being all like, "Hey man, yeah, I really love that video. That was so fucking clever. Yo, dog, you need to keep making videos." And he never responded. And then like years later, he messages me and is all like, "Hey man, I really like your videos." And I had like a Vietnam flashback where I'm just like, this seems familiar, but something's different.
Like you're rising from the mucky waters.
It's been so long since I've seen that movie. It's great. It is weird the way like people like transition from like who they are to who they are in like a year.
Yeah, like there was a time where JonTron only had like 3,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I actually remember that.
People always forget that. It's like, everyone who's big now didn't start big. Like everyone was very. I remember when it got like. I've known people. I've literally seen people grow in subscribers, like become really big deals. And it's like I'll see people who like will post about, oh, I got to meet so and so. It's like I spoke to that guy like whenever I could. Like most of the Flash animators who are really big now, I just casually talked to on AIM back in like 2006 when I was a teenager. Like everyone talks about how. Hot Diggity was so funny. It's like I used to talk to him all the time. He was a pretty normal guy.
Was he a nice fellow?
He was very, very normal. Like, hey, hi, oh, thanks, man. Like he was very normal. It was the same like Ukino Joe's. I used to talk to him as well. Now he's like sort of a big deal, and it's like it's so weird watching these people grow. And I just remember talking to them just casually, like a normal human being. People like,
well, we're all humans. To be honest.
Well, less extent to me, but. Yeah, I mean, everyone else is. I'm actually not part of this species.
I'm not a part of this. There's actually a YouTube channel out there somewhere where a guy does movie reviews of like current movies, but his shtick is that he's an alien, and he never like ever breaks character. It's so amazing how far this like alien trope goes. Like, oh, if I could think of a thing.
When you say alien, like, do you mean like prosthetics and everything?
He's not like super like alien looking. Like he doesn't look like Alien from Alien.
Yeah.
He kind of has like a big dome head. He wears like a big
like
black.
The tropey cliched gray head.
Except he's not ass naked. Yeah, he's wearing he's got like a cape on and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's the way he describes everything that I thought was so like, Jesus, this is like so weird. He was talking about that one awful movie, Spring Breakers. And he would just be like, these earthy people are like displeased with their regular mediocre life, so they decide to live an equally mediocre life in a different location. I was like, I guess that is what vacation is. And then I can't remember a single other line that was inside of it, but
I am going to be collecting so many links for this podcast.
you,
how dare you give me work?
I like how I can't really talk about myself. All I can talk about is other people.
Who are we interviewing exactly? Like, where did this become?
Welcome to the Cadicarus interview, starring the middleman.
Welcome to Jradgex exposes other people.
I have a hard time talking about myself.
Well, I mean, as long as people find you humorous, I think that's all that matters, really.
Oh yeah.
Which we'll bring it up because amazingly. We've gone for over an hour, which I said was inevitable, especially when I have people like Jradgex on the show. When they're just too goddamn entertaining, they have so much to talk about. And here's the funnier thing: you've basically answered every question without me asking them. So you've done my job for me.
Woo! What were the other questions?
That was it. That was everything.
You just gave me 2 questions?
No, I was only able to give you 2. You answered inadvertently the other ones. Like, you already told us what videos you're working on. You already told us how you choose them, what your favorite games were. And, of course, you gave a word of advice. You've basically done my job. I'm giving you the show. This is your problem now.
The other, actually, if I'm plugging any more reviews...
Please, why not? The link dump is already big enough. Let's just keep on going.
No. These are just videos I'm working on. Yeah. Like, there are no links until, like, way in the future. I already said I'm working on the Hotelful Boyfriend review. That'll probably come out next. The Phoenix Wright review will come out when it comes out. But the script is nearly done, and that's like the biggest bulk of it, I think. Mm-hmm. But I also have a like top something lovable characters, which was actually requested on my Facebook, and that I've gone like back and forth about because people always say like top tens are so easy, but I don't know. I have a hard time because I always like look at each one that I talk about like, okay, I talk about this guy, and then this one, and then this one. Do I not have enough attention to my first one? Should I talk more about this one?
Like really, here's for me personally, the most popular video, and according to my analytics, it's the one that's gotten me the most subscribers, is a top 10 video.
Yeah,
And people do love top 10s, but I think it was because it was a top 10 that had never been done. And I think that's how those things become popular. So you got to do the top 10 that no one's done.
I actually fucking hate the top 10 favorite video games, only because they've become so bland nowadays. I'm sorry if you have done one.
No, I have not. I mostly stick with movies and television. Games are much like I said with Spoonie. It's occasional. If I find a game where it's like, I'd like to do a video on this, I do a video on it. Like, I remember with the Tintin games, I sent it to Rosie saying, hey, I thought you'd probably like this considering it's European. It's, she'd remember it. And she messaged me back going, you do game reviews now? And I go, oh, no, not now. I just do them whenever I feel like I've got something meaningful to say. It's like, oh, well, it was very entertaining. I loved it, kind of thing.
Oh, you do game reviews now?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I've done a couple. It's very safe to say because I don't do them that frequently. I'm working on another one. Like I'm doing it again, kind of like you were mentioning, is that I've never really seen a good review of Glover, and I thought, why not? I would love to talk about Glover because it's such an interesting game.
Did I say that? Or are we flashing?
No, we're bringing back, like, because doing videos that haven't been
done.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought that you were.
We have to bring up the fat kids with the shitty webcams again.
Yeah. No, I thought you were like getting confused with your interviewees, and
I'm delusional.
You remember?
I'm sorry.
How we talked for like 5 hours about your love for Glover.
Yes. Everyone's lover is Glover. Glover is love. Glover's life.
We've been here a long time, folks.
The Vietnam flashbacks are gonna set in again.
I actually played Glover for like that was one of the games I rented when I was little. Was Glover, and even as a kid, I'm like, what the fuck is this game? I'm a glove? Is that it? Is that all you guys had?
I don't want to spoil it too much for people who will look forward to the review, but like the best analogy I can give is Glover is to N64 what Croc is to PlayStation. It's got great ideas. It's just an ultimately flawed game.
Yeah. That was people have asked me to play Croc too.
Because Patty won't.
I probably yeah. Well, actually, no, not Croc 2, but Croc also.
Okay.
Like I won't review it because great wordplay. The English language is so fun. It's like a bunch of voices screaming in a trash can. But I probably won't review Croc only because it seems like Caddy did a great review of it. I might do the other Croc game, like maybe like how I didn't do Rayman 1, but I did all the other Rayman games for
Croc 2, the resurrection of Caddy.
I am like I'm the American Caddy.
No, like he'll come back as an origami.
Oh, like that. I noticed actually something. This is something my brother brought up before Caddy shaved his head. Like I first was compared to JonTron because we both have like pubic beards. The ones that don't fully grow in. They're just kind of little puby.
Yeah.
Then I was compared to Caddy because we both have like that sort of mustache. I mean, his has grown in a lot better over the years. But we both used to have like that same kind of haircut of like the shitty kind of short brown hair and pubic-y beard.
I would have never made that comparison really, but like I guess I would say the JonTron with the hat, except JonTron doesn't even wear the hat anymore.
No, it fucking doesn't. Why does everyone always say, hey, you wear the hat, you say Genshin? I didn't even wear a fucking hat anymore.
the hat went away. God, I think it was gone after King's Quest V, I think, if my memory serves well.
The fucking hat that I own, that's my father's hat from Vietnam. Like, Jesus. I didn't pick it up because I'm like, I want to be like Judge. Actually.
But Doug Walker and JonTron have patent on hats for reviewers.
Doug is very dedicated to his hat. He wears it like even in vlogs. So
he has like a bunch of different hats. Like he has one for the Nostalgia Critic, and then he just has a casual one he wears in other videos. Like I mean, you know this from like my videos that I have a hat but like my whole attire, the whole point of it is to not make any sense. I have the most ridiculous outfit probably of any reviewer out there. It's a beaver cap. Okay. It's a checkered tie. It's kind of weird, but all right. It's a red shirt with Chinese drawings all over it, and a bunch of pins of random things. And they're all pins I've made. They're all custom buttons that don't technically exist. They're all made by me, with the exception of, I think, a few from Hot Topic, which is where the whole idea came from. Like, I have random... Like, I have a JonTron button that I had to make because JonTron doesn't make buttons. And that was my biggest problem. Is like, I would buy buttons of these, people I like. They just don't make them, so I have to make them. I have to go on Google and take an image of them and turn it into a button.
And that is how I learned how to draw. I was like, there are no faces of someone going like, "Ew, that's gross." So I just have to make it myself.
Or remember some obscure movie or TV show and take a snapshot and trace it or something.
Oh, yeah.
Or just use the Shane face like everyone else does.
Or I really hate that face.
It's
only
everywhere.
I hate it because it's everywhere. It's not funny anymore. You know what else isn't fucking funny anymore is when people talk about people use the Song of Healing. Like, that used to be so cool because PBG brought it up a few times when he talked about Legend of Zelda. But now whenever I see someone use it in a video, I'm just... all I think of is PBG. And I'm just like, are you trying to just be like this?
I mean, there's also like... I mean, I'm guilty of it too, is that a lot of people will just throw in video game background music in their videos because even if it has nothing to do with video games, it's just it's good music to throw because you always know it's going to be completely instrumental.
Yeah, well, no. Video game music is great. Like, I think that's 90% of the music I listen to. I'm specifically just meaning, like, the Majora's Mask Song of Healing. People use it, like, way so often that I feel it just needs, like, a break. Like, people need to not use it for a long time, and then we need to bring it back. And then we'll be like, oh, yeah, now it's cool. Actually, on that note, if you don't mind me just talking briefly about something I believe very strongly in.
No, that's why you're here. To talk?
Welcome to TalkCast. Sonic the Hedgehog needs to fuck off for 5 years and then come back. We need to stop doing this thing where Sonic Team is like, oh, Sonic isn't working? Well, let's just throw him out there again and see if he works another time. I think that what they keep making the mistake on is that they keep thinking they'll make another game and that this time they'll do a great job. They need to just calm down and make other games, and then when they finally get all this like Sonic testosterone out of their system, they finally are able to go, okay, let's just make a video game. Let's make a Sonic game. We're all calm now, and let's just make it because people actually care about it now. Because, like, even if you release a Sonic game nowadays, they made Sonic Boom, they made Sonic 06. I think people are sick of Sonic now. And if they just keep... Yeah, I think if we waited, like, 5 years of no Sonic and then just announced, like, a new game, I think then maybe people would go, like, oh, yeah, it's Sonic...
I've been sick of Sonic since Sonic Heroes. Like, that was the last Sonic game I ever played.
The thing was, somebody requested Sonic Heroes a long time ago for me to play.
Please do.
And... I had the worst history with it because the copy I had was so broken that I would go to a loading screen. People would say the loading screens in Sonic 06 were ridiculous, like they'd happen for the dumbest things, and that's very true. Loading something in Sonic Heroes took, and I'm not kidding here, I'm not prefacing nothing. It took 30 minutes, and I sat there. I don't even know why I waited that long. I didn't like reset the thing or anything. I went onto my computer and just started doing shit. I got some lunch. I came back, and roughly 30 minutes later, the next level loaded.
That's what I don't recall ever having that problem with it. The thing, like we were talking about with revisiting a game and going, oh, maybe I'll do a video on it, was Sonic Heroes, because I got an emulator for Dolphin, I think people know, for the GameCube emulator. So I thought, for old time's sake, because I just bought a USB GameCube controller. So it's like, I'm going to play Sonic Heroes, because I haven't played it since I was a kid. And then I played it. And I stopped after the first level, because I was like, wow, Now I see why so many neckbeards complain about these games. Simply because I noticed it was the same problem. I think because ProJared did a review of Sonic Adventure 2, and he brought up a very similar point. The problem is the camera controls in these games. It becomes infuriating to just do a simple task.
That was something I actually hated about Super Mario 64. Like, everyone talks about that, I'm sure. But, like, everyone gives Super Mario 64 so much credit because it's pretty well designed. But that camera, man.
I'll even agree there. I love Super Mario 64, but that camera is your worst enemy in that game.
And what I hate is Banjo-Kazooie was able to at least get down, hold down the R button, and the camera turns right around to your butt.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's so great. And then it just kind of fell into itself. And then Super Mario Sunshine came out. And it was better, but sometimes it would like do that. It would do like that thing where like the camera's perfect, and then it would like start auto-correcting itself, and then be inside the wall.
I remember finding this glitch in Super Mario Sunshine where you end up. I don't know if many people have ever gotten that glitch because I was able to recreate it for a Vine I did a fucking millennia ago, but like I ended up getting stuck between this. Delfino guy and an umbrella, so you just ended up in a constant loop of going and you can't get out of it. It's like, why?
I love that sound that Mario makes. Just
it's just like jumping Mickey Mouse, and it was just because like, I couldn't get out of it. It's like I didn't even want to play this game.
I don't even like this game.
I don't remember, like I said, I don't remember liking it, but I guess I'll say why I don't remember. Oh, now I see. It's fucking stupid.
The thing about, like, Sunshine to me is, like, it's a ridiculously hard game at times, and it gets so fucking frustrating, but, like, there's too many things about it that are, like, probably nostalgic to me. Where I'll just be like, oh, you fight the Chain Chomp and he's all like red and stuff. So you got to put him inside the river because that'll make him all cool. And it's the little things, I guess, that
so
just make
me feel like
wasted
in that game.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It's just Super Mario Bros. The blue version.
Was the game set in California? That would explain the drought.
Oh, topical.
Probably not anymore at this point.
Did they fix it?
I don't know. I fucking live in California. I don't give a shit what goes on over there.
Oh yeah, you're like Arizona?
I am, Arizona.
Ah, perfect. So we're at like, it's funny, you're one of the rare people I know who are on my time.
Yeah.
Because all my other friends are like, oh yes, I live in Sweden. Oh yeah, I live in middle of the center of the ocean.
I live in Middle Earth.
I live on the moon. The sun is always beating on me. But yeah, I have way too many friends that are like, yeah, I'm just calling you at like 1 a.m. my time. I'm like, are you okay? It's like, yeah, no, I just have a bad sleep schedule because I'm insane. How are you?
I think everyone on there at least has a group of friends that aren't in their time zone or even their country. That's the genius of the internet.
Actually, that's something I think about a lot philosophically. Is where, with the adaptation of the internet, I think we're getting into this fascinating, like, middle ground gray area where, like, we no longer think about time as, this is me, like, this is the time right now. You think about, well, this is time for me now, and then on the other side of the world is a different time, and then over here, different things are happening. I think, like, to put it shortly, I think, like, the internet is slowly making everyone in the world, like, multicultural. Which I think is
actually
we'll
abolish racism.
Well, it's fucking abolish racism, and then you go on 4chan, and you're like, okay, I'll just leave now.
It's still there. A constant reminder that we're still a terrible culture.
When you hear about swatting stories, you will tuck yourself into bed at night and just never wake up.
Let's hope this never happens to anyone I know, or most importantly, doesn't happen to me.
If anyone ever does that to me, I'm gonna be arrested by the SWAT team a second time because I'm going to fucking kill you in front of everybody so that I get arrested
on camera, and he'll glue it so the cop can't turn it away. Oh god, I think I think that's that's the podcast.
Is that think it's a good place to cut off?
I think it goes semi figure 8, not full circle, figure 8, I suppose. So swatting, we'll end it with swatting. The unfortunate practice of swatting for people who are still listening, and I said that not because this is a bad podcast, but because we're talking about so many horrifying things. Please go check out Jradgex's channel. If I can make recommendations for people on what videos to watch, I recommend you check out his Ed Netty Misadventures review, as well as his Spyro review. Those are two of my favorites. But once you watch those and you like them, watch the rest of it. Watch the rest of his stuff. He has his own podcast, which I think would be a perfect place for you to plug that.
Yeah, the Thought Can podcast. We basically just talk about a lot of the time we end up just talking about video games, so you can think of it as a video game podcast. But there are other topics that we talk about, basically things that just happen to all of us. We keep sharing like stories. We talked about how Natalie Poloski, she started having like anime fan art drawn of her. We talked about that for kind of a while. Talked about Skyrim mods, again, like video game stuff. It's very general, but if there's like a single
shoot the basically kind of like we were doing on this one. Shoot the shit. It's very entertaining. It's easy listening is what I would call it.
Very easy.
Very good to have in the background when you're working on videos like I do. And of course, he when he doesn't do his bigger scripted reviews, he also has mini runs, which are basically shorter, funny, digestible reviews that I also recommend. I'd say check out the Little Mermaid and Super Smash Brothers 3DS ones for those. If you want a digestible, a light version of Jradgex. Other than that, in case I haven't expressed this enough, go to his channel, at least subscribe, because if he keeps sitting under me, I'm gonna feel like a shitty person. And don't make me feel like a shitty person for having someone who makes better content have less subscribers and fan base than me. So,
it's on you guys, man.
Yeah, it's all on you. I blame you if you don't. You are now obligated.
I blame you for this and all the world wars.
I blame you for Hitler.
I blame you for swatting.
Oh, Jesus.
You started it!
If we're going to be technical, you did, sir. Outside of that, like I've been saying, funny guy, in case you can't tell from the 90 minutes we've been doing this. Funny guy. Go subscribe to him. Check him out. Can't get that across enough. Thank you so much for entertaining me for so long and having everyone else listen and basically get an idea of the content producers out there that might not be found so easily as someone like Doug Walker or James Rolfe, someone who's basically under the rock and deserves to get some kind of exposure to be credited for the hard work they do. Now
being under the rock is a bit.
Your ass.
And actually, now that we have finally finished the podcast, and now that we're at the end, I have finally finished my drawing of a skeleton. He started out angry, but now he's waving hi and wearing a Santa Claus hat.
Well, there you go. It starts with a drawing, and it ends with a happy one. I cannot think of anything more poetic than that.
Well... Thank you all for watching and stuff. I was about to do my ending, but actually, I'm sure you have your own.
Not really. Might as well. I'm basically handing this off to you. I'm retiring.
All right. Well, go check out my channel. Go check out Chase Face Show, Kadikarus, everyone, Spoon Eats, all those people. And until then, good day, good evening, good morning, or good night, complete strangers. The name is Jradgex, and I am an expert.
I'm Aficionados Chris. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and please have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Aficionados Chris was your host for tonight. This is the sign off where we say goodnight. If you enjoyed it, then please like and share. This was his podcast, which he likes to call